and welcome to Skydio Live Ops, the remote substation inspection. I'm Lee McMillan. I'm the Director of Product Marketing for Skydio Dock and Remote Ops. And joining me today, I have Christina and Corey. But before I have them introduce themselves, I just want to go over a quick little housekeeping item. One, this demo is designed to be pretty informal. We're going to be showing you a live demo from our dock warehouse, which is it's a working warehouse. So you'll see it's really industrial looking. And then two, we want to take questions. So feel free to use the Q&A bar at any time. We'll try to address questions along the way, along with leaving some time at the end of this session. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Christina.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christina Park. I am the Senior Director of Energy Strategy here at Skydio since this past March. Prior to that, I had a 15-year career at the New York Power Authority, where most recently I was the Senior Director of a department called Asset Intelligence Solutions. So this was within asset management and operations, where we looked at our reliability-centered maintenance program and ways that we could move our maintenance to being more condition-based and preventative and predictive by using different technologies. So we would vet various technologies, sensors, robotics, analytics, to find which vendors had the best products, and then also looked at how we could do the change management, the implementation, the integrations in order to scale the solutions so they could become part of the operational workflow. Corey?
Hey, I'm Corey Hitchcock. I'm a former transmission and distribution lineman and distribution systems operator turned drone program lead at Southern Company. My last role there, I helped lead the drone program, where we had over 400 drones, 250 registered pilots, and 5 docks on our system. And today, I'm a utility solution specialist with Skydio, and excited to show you what a dock operation looks like today.
All right, thank you, Corey. Before we get started here today, I just want to go over a couple of slides to kind of set this up. We're going to be coming at you from our dock warehouse, as I mentioned. And over the past few weeks, we've done a few webinars on kind of topical issues in the industry, whether that be conditional-based maintenance or aging infrastructure, how to take care of those. What we're going to focus on today is putting that into action and showing you what a substation inspection looks like. This is one of our most common use cases, but we also see people use it for things like security patrols. Unfortunately, there's a lot of break-ins to substations these days, and also as a way to keep your team safer. Try to have them enter energized areas less often. All right. Now, we said we'd be indoors today, but really what Skydio offers is a great outdoor platform. We're not going to leave you the hardware and say, go figure it out. We want to make sure you're set up for success. A lot of that's going to start with the regulatory support. So we're going to help assist you get your waivers, your Part 107 waiver, to operate in the conditions that are right for your organization. Next up, we're going to make sure you have the right hardware package and number of drones to cover the area and docks that you need to run successfully. Next up, you're going to need sensors. Typically, that's going to be in the form of a weather station and an air traffic antenna to know what's in your airspace to make sure you can operate safely. We'll also be in the remote ops software today, so I'm not going to really cover that right now. You'll see that in person. And then lastly, it's our deployment. We have deployment teams that'll come out, set you up, get you running, make sure you're ready for a mission. Train your teams up, have you fly in before we leave. And then if you do need additional support, we're available for that as well. Corey, back to you.
Awesome, thanks. So today I'm going to take you guys through what it's like to fly a substation inspection with the Skydio Cloud. So when you log into Skydio Cloud, the interface opens and you see your fleet, your available fleet that you have. Today we're going to be operating Midway 082. So we'll go on into that bird and we'll see that it's available for the mission. It's online, both the dock and the aircraft. The battery's charged 100%. If we'll go ahead and select the mission that we're going to fly. This mission is pre-arranged or pre-planned. So that means I flew it, set the waypoint, set the angles, speeds, all that stuff, and then saved it. And that goes into our organization's catalog. So I'm going to select this mission, substation webinar inspection. And I'm going to click run vehicle or run mission. I'm going to select that vehicle. and click Run Mission. It's going to take us to the actual dock. As it loads Remote Flight Deck, it's going to open. You'll see a point of view from the drone sitting in the dock. What I just showed you, or what I just switched to, is the inspection camera. This is the dock rolling out of the drone. I think it's also important to note that I'm in Florida right now, in the Tampa Bay area, operating this drone in Hayward, California. So as long as you have internet connectivity, you can operate the dock from anywhere in your territory. So we've got the mission selected. Another thing you can do once you've kind of extended the drone and it's ready for flight, we have an inspection mode. You can enter inspection mode, and then you can zoom with the inspection camera to kind of check out your aircraft and see what's going on. So that's been enabled for fully remote operations. So today we're inside our dock warehouse. This is our dock testing facility. It's an indoor operation, so we'll be flying this entirely GPS denied. And I'll go ahead and hit launch here so you can see it. I'm going to hit launch and switch to the cameras. You can see the drone taking off and leaving the dock. And as it takes off, it's going to climb to about 5 meters, and then it's going to do a orientation rotation. So it's going to kind of use the vision positioning sensor and kind of figure out what's going on in its environment and see if anything's changed from the vision positioning model that it created in the last mission. As we rotate, the aircraft's going to rotate towards the first waypoint, and what you're going to see is a power transformer, a substation power transformer here in the Skydio substation. It's a power transformer mock-up that we've built, kind of cobbled together parts to kind of show a decent representation of a transformer. But as we approach the transformer, we get our overall wide shot. This is a shot that can be used to, let me pause that for a second. This shot can be used to kind of do an overall inspection of the transformer. You can see any oil leaks or gross defects. You'd be able to see that. And we're going to resume the mission and move to our second point.
Cool. While you're getting that mission going, I just wanted to call out for our audience here is that we're watching. Not only are we streaming this live, but you're also watching a stream of it. So a little bit of this graininess you're going to see is just due to lag. What also Corey will be able to show off at the end of the mission are some good pictures. What we're recording is really in pretty high definition. So when you're reviewing your footage or checking out details later, you'll see that in really high quality.
Awesome, thanks. So as we were doing our perimeter inspection or moving around to our next waypoint, we found a bad guy hiding in these large Lego blocks here. So for our security professionals that are on with us today, this is something that the aircraft can be programmed to do and do your perimeter inspections, perimeter patrols, that kind of thing. And you can schedule that. You can schedule that randomly so as to not provide some pattern-based intelligence. But I'm going to go ahead and resume my mission. And what we're doing here, that was the north side of the transformer. We're checking the west side of the transformer. This is the same kind of the gross inspection defects that we're looking for. And at this point, we've got the south side of the transformer. And one thing we'll note is that none of our fans are running. It's just something you see would note in this kind of gross defect picture. So what we're doing now is kind of zooming in on the actual high side transformer bushings. This is a repeatable inspection. It's something that you can do and capture data in both thermal and visible spectrum. So you can have repeatable thermal data from your transformers or from your devices in different load states. If you're adding load near the limit, you can get out there and fly a mission real quick and see if there's any thermal problems. So as we're inspecting these bushings, I think I saw something on the middle bushing. So I'm going to take control of the dock here and see if I can't zoom in on that middle bushing. Hold on. So I've paused the mission now and I'm hand flying it. because I thought I saw something on this middle bushing. So it looks like I may have a crack on that middle bushing. Let me see if I can't zoom in on it a little bit. Oh, it does. Looks like we've got some exposed porcelain there. So that'll be something we can note and then be able to see in our post-mission data. So I'm gonna go ahead
Corey,
and
since you have it on hand flying right now, I think it's also a good time to note that with the Skydio drones, you can obviously this is a demo substation environment, but if this was a real energized substation, this is not the type of view or the proximity that you could get to with other brands of drones because of the EMI that would exist. So with the Skydio drones, you do not have to be subject to the standoff distance, but you can also fly in, through, and around. And that was a decision that was made, I think, by our product team as we designed our new drone, the X10, to actually have it be a medium-sized drone so that as it navigates some of the complex environments in the substations or in the transmission lines, that it wouldn't be too big because that would cause other problems with potential arcing.
So thanks, Christina. So in this substation, we found that our expansion tanks got a low liquid level, low oil level. Might be something of note later. But I'm going to go ahead and resume this mission. This capture here is pretty quick. Actually, I'm going to pause it real quick. So I'm going to pause that mission. I want to go back and get a better look at those bushings. So I just stopped it. And if you bear with me for a sec, or not bushings, the gauges, if you bear with me for a second, I'm going to fly back over there and have a look at these gauges. Because the fans aren't running. I don't got any oil in this transformer. And I want to see what's going on here.
So it looks like we set up the worst demo scenario ever, which is awesome. Trying to have a little fun with it. Also, what's great is notice when Corey's flying this, he's focused on getting the right shot because of the autonomy on the Skydio drones. Not only can you fly in that EMS environment, but you can fly really close, and the drone's going to stand off at the right distance for you without having to think about it or worry about crashing into the structure.
Yeah, so I stopped here at our winding, our high side winding temperature gauge, and I see that it's a little over 105 C, and it's on the contacts where all the fans should be running. So the fans should be running. We've got a low oil situation, and I feel like we might need to send somebody out and have them put their hands on the station and see if they can't fix it. So I am going to now return the aircraft to the dock. And as we look around our dock warehouse, we've got that little archway. This is kind of cool thing I like to show people because it demonstrates like our collision avoidance capabilities. I went around it. Let's see if we can go through it.
So the obstacle avoidance with the settings that you have on the drone will actually identify that this is an obstacle and not let you go through it. But I think that, Corey, if I'm not mistaken, you can toggle the settings if you're a more experienced pilot so that you can get closer to the obstacles.
Yes.
So you can see here that Corey's actually able to fly the drone through the archway.
Well, almost through it. I think it's set on. I can't adjust the obstacle avoidance settings while I'm in mission type.
Flight mode. Okay, but it's better to be safe than sorry. So I think you know, for utility professionals, risk is of utmost importance, and so what we want at the end of the day is obviously to capture all the data that you need, but to be able to do it safely to protect not only the drone but the equipment that you're flying potentially into.
All right, and so what I've done is initiated the autonomous landing. So I've launched sent the drone home. The cradle will come out. The dock will close. We see it moving up. There's the cradle extended there. And then we'll go back to watch my favorite part of the situation is the drone landing in the dock. Oh, something to talk about here. It identifies the dock based off the number on the top and the fiduciary on the top, the symbol on the top, and then it uses the small April tag here on the arm to finally position itself over the landing arm, and then it lands in the arm and is recovered. Once it's recovered, the data will begin automatically uploading to the cloud. That cloud interface, which I'll show you in just a second, can push that data where your business needs it. So as this thing's retracting, you'll see the arm do a little shake. What it's doing is making sure the battery is seated properly inside the cradle for charging. And then the aircraft will be retracted into the dock, and then the door closed. The dock that the drone lives in is temperature controlled or climate controlled for optimal battery charging. It's heated during the wintertime and cooled during the summertime. All right, so that's the mission we flew, and I'm going to go ahead and exit the actual flight page. So we'll see that the aircraft is online. It's finishing up what it's doing. It's already charging, so we've got a charging indication there. It'll switch to uploading the data, but I'm going to show you guys some data that I was able to capture in some previous flights. So all of your media is stored in the cloud. All your media from your organization is stored in the cloud in one place. You can kind of narrow it down. So I'm going to narrow it down to missions that I have flown. And then we've got the mission that we flew a little earlier today. And I'm going to walk through some of the data that we captured. So this is an image of that transformer. This was kind of the last photo taken in the inspection, so it kind of goes backwards. But what we see here is like I saw, that windings temperature is actually moving more towards 200. And it is contacting the contactors which should engage the fan relays. I'm waiting for the other one to load. So again, another shot of the winding temperature gauge showing the contactor engaged. We saw as we did our inspection when we were doing it live that our liquid level gauge is low, and we also saw that our fans aren't running. So most of the situations here, the fans should be running. And then we also found a chipped insulator bushing on our low side bushing for our power transformer. So we'll go back and kind of look at that photo real quick.
Hey, Corey, while you're loading up, can you tell us from your perspective, because you have experience directly out in the field, both as a lineman and as a UAS program manager, what's the value of being able to unlock this remote capability for your inspections?
So this remote capability, so generally there's like a safety and security inspection that's done at substations. That's kind of the most frequent substation inspection, sometimes monthly, sometimes more than that. Most of that inspection is just that. It's a visual inspection that can be completed with a person on site or a drone, a dock-based drone. And the really cool thing I think is that this process is repeatable. That same mission can be flown. You can build missions for different differential schemes inside your station. If you've got multiple power transformers, you can build a flight plan for each power transformer. In case there's a differential, you can get out there and inspect that transformer very quickly and determine if it's a wildlife incident or it's some other type of failure that's going to require a larger crew. That to me is super cool. Another really neat use case is the ability to do pre and post switch inspection. From my time as a distribution systems operator, when we operated switches via SCADA in the field, during like normal loading situations, it wasn't that big of a deal. You just operated them, and then did for the amp meter to show that load was flowing the same through all three phases. But I think something that can be done like in an abnormal loading situation where you're kind of pushing the limits on transformers and on lines and on buses and equipment, that you can fly once you've pre-switching operation. You can fly that switch just with the click of a mouse. You'd be able to operate that and see if that switch is in proper adjustment and there are no thermal deficiencies. And then once you operate that switch, you can give it a second and then fly that switch again to verify that that switch closed properly and is carrying load like it should. But if we look on this low side image that we captured during our inspection, we can see that we've got a chipped insulator, and somebody didn't order the right bushing, so there's a whole bunch of weird parts bolted to the top of this thing, as opposed to this bushing, which looks properly installed. So we're probably going to set up a work order for that and send some folks out to have a look at that and see if they can't make repairs. Another cool thing about the Skydio Cloud is it's got a reporting capability. So if you tap on...
hey, Corey, just to jump in here, we did have a question from the audience. I think it kind of fit in with that last part you were showing here. Brandon asks, do the drones have both audio and thermal capability?
So yes, the aircraft, we have on the X2, we don't have the audio capability. We have thermal capabilities. On our next gen drone, the X10, we have a side payload that is a speaker mic that would give the ability to transmit audio and then receive audio through a microphone if the drone was stopped, like landed and the rotors weren't turning.
Perfect.
All right, so moving through the summary page, we see since November the 5th in 2023 to December the 5th in 2023, we've had 290 flights and 26.4 flight hours in our organization. You can narrow that down by pilot. You can, but this is a really cool dashboard for your senior leaders to kind of see what their fleet's doing, like what's actually going on. And we can tap on our activity report. We can click by pilot. So I'm going to search my name real quick. And we can see I've done 20 flights with 2 hours of flight time on this particular dock or in this particular organization.
Hey, Corey, with that with that recording, what do you think is the return on investment, right? Like if I can see that Corey Hitchcock flew for 2 hours and was able to complete this many inspections, what would that translate to compared to doing manual inspections for the same inspections?
I was told once that it cost about $1,500 to take a line crew and roll them out to a site, and not having to do that is that immediate savings. But then you can also get those people operating on non-O&M type projects. They can be out doing capital projects while you're, you've got your dock operations center performing your O&M, heavy inspection tasks. I think that's a good way to kind of show some of the value, not to mention the safety aspect of not having to, drive to the site and then actually be in the substation, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think from an asset management perspective, I know that from my old role, one of our biggest pain points was that a lot of our substations are remote. They're just, 3 hours away, 5 hours away, 9 hours away. So that means that the time that it takes for somebody to get out there to complete the inspection that's required by regulatory or otherwise was just adding days to their time. And that with the number of substations we had, you just couldn't get to all of them with the frequency that you would like. So I personally found the dock solution to be really exciting, to be able to cut out all of that wasted driving time, and also the safety of, there's a statistic that I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think every utility has safety incidents that occur from driving out to the remote locations, particularly in inclement weather. So I think those are some of the benefits that I was excited about from my own point of view.
Sure. So I see a question in the chat I want to hit. It's like, what's the flight time of the drone? That's Blaine Whiteside from Fortis, BC asked. What's the flight time of the drone? If you want to inspect a large station, how do you do that? So with a dock-based solution, a drone that lives there, so that right now the X2 fly about 24, 25 minutes at a time. But with a dock-based solution, the drone living there, you can capture that substation over time. Like, you don't have to go fly all of that substation because your person is there and then they have to leave. Like when I used to do substation inspections, I'd have to drive out, fly the drone, and then stay there for several days sometimes if it was a giant 500 kV substation, and then have to do that. So I really think that the dock-based solution, you have to kind of rethink what it's like to operate a drone, because the way you eat an elephant is one bite at a time. So if you've got a giant substation, you can go out there and fly like a very small piece of it or a piece of it, and then continue to fly those, and then ultimately cover your whole station.
All right, Corey, I think since we started jumping into questions, we'll just keep the questions growing here, since we're getting a lot from the audience and we're getting a little tight on time. We're going to run over about 3 minutes, but if you have to drop at the bottom of the hour, that's perfectly fine. We just want to make sure we hit all these questions that are coming in. Let's see, we didn't get to ask this one why it was live, but I think this one's for Corey. It's from Reggie. It says, I understand we're streaming the broadcast, but wondering what type of latency we get. Unfortunately, we do have a latency dial up. I just didn't see what we were getting today.
No, I didn't have it up. So typically we'll see around 100 milliseconds of latency as you're operating the drone. I can say that really flying the drone feels like you're flying the drone. It feels like you make an input on the keyboard or the game controller that you're using to operate it, and you can really, like, it feels like you're operating the drone. It doesn't feel like there's lag in there. As far as the video quality, that video quality is determined by the throughput of your local network that the dock is connected to. So, the better the bandwidth, the better the video stream will automatically throttle for that. But you can record in 4K, and then you saw the quality of the photos that we were able to get.
All right, and then one little more text back here is what's some of the coldest temperatures we can operate at?
Sorry. Yeah, I believe it's -4 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's due to the fact that the dock has heaters on board that would heat the battery to provide that optimal battery charging environment and drone environment for operations at cold weather.
Great. And then I got kind of a two-part question here I'm going to ask. It's what kind of certification requirements are needed for a remote pilot? And then also what kind of requirements are required to get a program off the ground? I'll take at least the first part of this. To get your program off the ground, it's usually called a Part 107 waiver. And we have a regulatory team that'll help a lot of our clients get those. So they come in all types and flavors. We have helped clients get waivers in place that allow them to work in hundreds of substations remotely across the entire US. We've had them as small as like one local and protected area. Just kind of depends on your situation and how you want to operate. We'll work with you, kind of help you get that. And then the second part on the pilot certification, either Corey, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so for the pilot certification currently, you have to have a Part 107 FAA remote pilot certificate. And that's usually, you can study for that in a weekend and then take the test, that Monday. It's one of those things. There's a lot of 107 training options out there. But yeah, once you're a 107 certificated pilot, you can operate one drone on your remote dock at a time. with a basic waiver, but that would allow you to operate drones across your whole system. So rather than you having to travel to several locations throughout the day, you can operate the dock just from your home office, and you can work your way through your substation list for that day and do your inspections and then analyze the data.
Great. I think a good follow-up question to that is from Will here. He says, are these flights always piloted or can they be autonomous?
They can be scheduled. Currently, with the regulation, the way it is, you have to have a Part 107 pilot like in command of the aircraft. So while you can schedule the operation, you'll get a notification the operation's about to launch or it's about to initiate. The RPIC can switch to that screen and take control of the aircraft in case something was to go wrong.
Yeah, and then just add on to that, it's kind of our goal to work as to one-to-many pilots. So we're already working on waivers at our own company to fly one-to-many. Those will be going to clients pretty soon. And then ultimately the goal is to have these run autonomously, where a pilot would be informed if they need to take action, like, hey, there's an issue, land now, stuff like that. But it's a long regulatory path, and we're really working with folks to kind of move the needle appropriately and making sure that we prove everything we do is operating safely and securely. Let's see here. I'm going to take one more question, maybe two. So let's see. In this example, Allison's asking, looks like we have a bunch of remote substations and they're distant from each other. She's asking if the utility would need multiple docks or a dock at each substation.
Do you want me to take that one?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah. So typically, or what we envision and what a lot of our utility customers are doing is installing a dock at a substation. A dock per substation. It becomes just a line item on substation construction. It's just something you add as another sensor in the station. But once you install that dock in the station, you can patrol a limited distance out. As long as your waiver allows, you can patrol a limited distance outside the substation. And you can also perform security missions at the substation. You can and have those security missions initiated based on your own sensors at the site through our API with the cloud. You can also do your standard inspection that we talked about, and then in addition to that, you can do event-based inspections. So if you have, say, a differential, you have a high amp fault that's high magnitude fault that's right outside the station, you can go look at that kind of thing. And typically our utility customers today, based on the regulatory environment, are keeping them inside stations. But as the regulatory environment improves, the aircraft would be placed, or the docks would be placed, along the system as it makes sense.
Great. All right, we've just had a few more questions come in, so if they're going to stay on, we will as well. Real quick here from Jay, he says the max flight time I see is 40 minutes for the X10. How much dock time does the X10 need to be ready for the next flight? I'll take the first part of that. We've already announced that we're going to have a dock for the X10 later next year. The dock we have today is for our X2. And typically and I'll say that depends. If you typically fly down to about 20% battery, you can be charged to a good flight time, like 80-90% in about 20 minutes. Corey? Let's say that.
For the X10, it takes probably 40 minutes from 20% to 90%.
20 to 90. Okay, so about 40%. Yeah, so around that time for the X2 as well. Just depends on if you fly to 50% and charge it up, it's going to be a little less. So it just depends on how fast you fly. We actually slowed down today's flight time considerably just to make it a little more visible. But when you're flying these missions, you can hit a lot of waypoints over that time.
Yeah, for instance, that mission we flew today was a 1 minute and 43-second mission had I not slowed it down. And I think me slowing it down, I only got to like maybe 5 or 8 minutes with that mission. So, there's benefit to having the dock in the substation so that it can rapidly respond.
And then we got a question from Blaine here that asks, from a security standpoint, can they fly at night?
Yes, they can fly at night as long as the landing area is lit, and typically, substation, facility lighting might be good enough, but there needs to be some analysis done on that. But yes, they can fly at night.
And then I got another question here from Reggie. He says, would it be possible to discuss the Skydio cloud system and its cybersecurity measures? I think the short answer is you're asking, is it secure? Yes, we use 256-bit encryption end to end. We house it as it's an Amazon AWS site that's redundantly backed up. We have an entire document that covers security. So we'll make sure we follow up with you after this event and get you that information. And then the last question I'm seeing is from Don, who was asking about, do you help with the BB loss? And yeah, and the short answer there is yes, we do. That's our regulatory component. BB loss is getting that Part 107 or COA waiver that allows you to operate without a pilot. Excuse me, without a pilot in line of sight. Sorry about that. So I was trying to get a quick hit on those, and I think that's our last question. Christina, Corey, any last minute comments before we sign off here?
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. I think I'm really excited about this technology because in my experience out in the field and just in asset management in general, I know that it can be a very stressful environment when you have a lot of aging infrastructure and not enough people to go do all the inspections that you might want to do in an ideal world. So I think having the opportunity to do remote docked inspections with the drones not only keeps your people on the ground, but it keeps them in the office, except for when they actually need to go out there to do repairs or to take a closer look. So I think there's tremendous value in this from an executive point of view in terms of the dollars and the man hours that are invested in order to get the information that you need. So happy to chat more if anyone has any questions. How about you, Corey?
I get very, very excited about this technology. I got excited about drones, or I started in drones in 2014, 2015 time period. And the very first use case that someone from the company brought me was, hey, we want a dock that lives in a doghouse out in the world and can just go when we want it to. And it's really cool to see that finally happen. It's taken a while, but it's really cool to see it work. It never gets old.
All right. Well, thank you for joining everyone today. Hope you found value out of this, and we look forward to seeing you on our next